Do 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 do. Do 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 do. That should. Perfect. Love it. Greetings all. Oh, that's the problem. Hold on. I was trying to figure out why is the white so bright on my face, and then I was trying to compensate for it, and I realized, oh, right. It's because I had done a restart on my, there we go. I'd done a restart on my computer to do updates, and my presets for my ring light switched back to the default, which is the brightest setting. So that's better. That is better. Yeah, that'll do. My forehead's a little shinier than I'd like, but whatever. I'll deal with it. I'll deal with it. Your birthday in about 8 hours, Leon? Well, I hope you have a good one when you get there. Hey, everybody. It's great to see you all. Tracy, thank you very much for the super chat. Happy birthday. Reminder that if you are not a Patreon member and thus have access to the Council of Geeks Discord, the way to guarantee that I see your comment or question is to do it as a super chat. Thank you, LT Smash. Thank you so much. Happy birthday. I appreciate that immensely. And you also get a heart from me for the super chats. I will, of course, try and keep up with the chat as it goes, but, super chats get highlighted. It's a simple guarantee to be sure that I'll see it. I hope folks are doing well. Hey there, Ben. A forehead shine, the bane of my videos. It can be hard to compensate for. See, the thing is, I've got a pretty good setup for my normal video shooting, but it's streaming that it doesn't pan out quite as consistently as I'd like. I was just getting caught up on your B5 podcast. Yeah, which went out a day late, and I initially uploaded the wrong episode. So that... it's been a very nice day, but that was the one major thing to be like, okay, let's throw a wrench into things a little bit. I'm in the 3rd season of Steven Universe, really enjoying it. Oh, good. That's a good show. My kiddo loves that show. I don't even know how many times she's rewatched it start to finish. It's been a lot. It's been a lot. I watched your video yesterday. Oh, I assume you mean the one that went up on the Vera Wild channel. In case folks don't know or didn't see, I posted about it in the community tab, but I put a video up on the Vera Wild channel, which is a separate channel from this one, because it talks more explicitly about my own experiences as a gender fluid person. Sometimes there's product reviews and stuff like that. That isn't necessarily geeky, so that's why the content isn't here. And yeah, I did a video covering what I consider to be my 30-year transition timeline since I basically started first experimenting with gender at about 11. And as of today, I am 41. 3 decades of gender nonsense. That could be a title for an autobiography. Happy birthday wishes from Germany. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. Not a single gray hair on you. That's not true at all, Ms. Wicked Wolf. The lighting in here is pretty forgiving. I have a lot of gray hairs. I'm not embarrassed by them. I'm not ashamed of them, but if you're not seeing them, you're not I believe that you don't see them that well in this setup, but if you're not seeing them, then you're not paying attention, because they're definitely there. So Tara, if you look for, so there's Tara is looking for the video where I initially did my coming out here on this channel. So if you go to, I have a playlist for Q&A videos, It is the second video in there. And it's towards the tail end. It might be around, I don't remember how long the video is. It's like in the last quarter or so of the video is mostly about that. That's assuming that someone else hasn't already directed you there. Getting drunk? No, getting buzzed. There's a joke in one of the culture novels that has the word gay in it. Do you think you'd even have words for gay or straight if your society has no sexuality prejudices? Well, I suppose it depends on the exact context, because there is the basic bare bones facts of sexuality that is gay or straight, and then there is sort of gay or straight mentality, arguably gay culture. Like things like that might still persist in a way that makes use of the word, maybe not. Like I would imagine it wouldn't have a ton of meaning in its strictest definition, but that doesn't mean it couldn't have some meaning. I'd have to see the full context on that. Doomsday thoughts. I don't really have any. I mean, the whole thing just gives me real big Time Lord Victorious vibes, and ultimately I didn't pay attention to that too, and I had been paranoid back when that happened. I'd be like, I don't know if I have the spoons or the time or the money to follow all this. Am I going to be left behind? And then the general consensus was, okay, well that happened. So, like, it's a neat idea. I don't think it's a bad idea. It's cool, fine, enjoy. I'm not planning to go out of my way to take it all in. I'm still young. I like to think so. Certainly young in behavior, if nothing else. Thomas Jerome Newton, happy regeneration anniversary. Thank you. Thank you very much. Everybody watch that video. The picture of Vera in high school is adorable. Like, I find it interesting. See, here's the thing about the picture that I ended up using in that. Normally, when I make references to myself in high school, I am partial to making use of my senior photo, which is its own kind of like, really? But that one, I think, was my junior year, that picture. The reason I use that one is because I was making reference in the video to the dress code, and your senior picture did not have to be in dress code. So me using that one didn't make a lot of sense. So I kind of had to use the one I did, and yeah, it is, I think, adorkable would be a fitting enough term. My top 41 pieces of media, why are they your favorite? That is not a question that we have time for. That is an entertaining one to ponder, though, Alyssa. Our philosophy is, thank you very much for the super chat. I appreciate that greatly. If your birthday gift was one change to pop culture entertainment, what would it be? My brain's going a few different places at once on that. Honestly, personally, selfishly, the removal of humiliation humor. It just hurts. And sometimes it shows up in stuff that, like, I'm not expecting it, and it hurts. It hurts a lot. I hate it. You thought I was 25? Liar. This channel's been around for over a decade. You thought I started when I was 15? No. Sorry to hear about Bo, but yeah. Well, he had a real good run. You've been with me for so much of my transition when I was denying, questioning again, and now out and transitioning for 1.5 years. Even planning surgery now. Oh, that's great, Louise. I'm really happy for you. And, like, I hope you don't ever feel shame in, denying and questioning and that process, because it's a process we all have to go through. And I know it can be a very common thing to sort of mourn the time where you didn't live as who you now understand yourself to be. But I hope that you can treasure now knowing and better understanding and appreciate the journey that you took. And I don't want to negate the other perspective, but I find it more valid when one is in a position where one knows but can't do anything, whether it be for safety reasons, financial reasons, living condition reasons, whatever. Whereas, like, if it just took you that long to figure yourself out, like, maybe that's the time you needed. Possibly. That's how I tend to think of myself, at any rate. John Vinyls. Thank you very much. So the trailer for Watching and Dreaming came out. Also thoughts on Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. I am not aware of Watching and Dreaming, so I know neither what that is, nor have I seen the trailer. I have not watched any of Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. I saw some of the early preview stuff. It looked fine. It looked like the kind of thing that just felt like it was best for me to skip, simply because, I mean, weird comparison, but to compare it to something like the Sarah Jane Adventures, it looks good for the target demographic, for the age group and the audience it's aimed at. Looks real good. I do not occupy that targeted demographic. That doesn't mean that I automatically won't like it, but it does make me generally cautious, because I don't like to feel like I'm nitpicking something that isn't for me, if that makes sense. Like, sometimes I feel more justified in doing that, but in general, I try to avoid it. Do I consider myself an Aries? I do. Barely. Barely, but yes, I do. Let's see. Where was I? You look real good for your age. Thank you. I appreciate that. Lessons learned. Thank you very much for the super chat. I appreciate that very much. I was going to ask if you like being called adorkable. I don't know if I'd appreciate it being called that now, because it's certainly not what I aim for. Looking at me in high school, I think it fits. I think that works. Trying to come up with descriptions of every Doctor Who story using Tim Curry quotes. That's a fun project. Oh, I love that already. Best one so far is Castrovalva. He'll probably be in the Zen room. Oh, Rowan, that is a wonderful, wonderful project. I love it. I love it. I'm currently reading Who Hunts the Whale by Laura K. Dale and Jane Aerith Magnet. Yeah, if it hits audiobook, I might get to it. Physical books are harder for me to get through these days. But I'm really glad they got it out. I know the two of them have been working on that for a long time. I'll be 40 later this year. I like to think that aging is a privilege. So many people never get to this age. That is a valid way of looking at it. Leon Styles, thank you very much for the super sticker. Good job. Thanks so much. If your one birthday gift was owning the Doctor Who IP, what would you do with it? Also, happy birthday. For the sake of my own creative stress, probably get somebody else to manage a whole bunch of it. Here's the thing, I don't really know. Like, sometimes people will ask me, like, if you could write a Doctor Who story, what would it be? Like, I have a couple of broad ideas that maybe I could do something with, but, like, it's easier, and this is an acknowledgement of, like, some of the failings, or not failings, but limitations of geeky punditry, the very nature of what I do. But it's easier to fine-tune a thing that exists and is already happening and go, okay, that could have been better if X was Y, or if you swapped that with this, or maybe if you just didn't do that, or had you considered this. It's a lot easier to offer input and feedback and direction on a thing that is done. Trying to figure out where to steer a thing where the form that it takes is completely on your back, that's a lot harder. And it's not only that, but it's difficult for me to get my creative brain to work with me if I don't think that this story actually goes anywhere. And in the case of something like Doctor Who, this is part of why I've never written fan fiction. I don't think I ever could. It's just that in my mind, like, this is never going to be a story that happens in this thing. So my brain just kind of checks out and go, I'm not wasting energy on that. What are you doing? It's also why I'm generally bad at speculation, and I'm a bad person to ask for fan theories, because my brain won't let me just, I can't just allocate brain power to whatever I want. My brain will fight me on it, and it will fight me big time if it's something that requires creative energy but won't result in something. So like fan theories, it's like I can try and think of fan theories and my brain just goes, what are you doing? What, use this energy for something else. Just watch it when it comes out and see what it is. Why are you theorizing? And it's kind of the same thing with, thoughts of like, what would you do with the IP? Where would you take the story? And they're not bad questions. I'm just a bad person to ask. It's just how that kind of pans out. Oh, there you go, Tara. I hope you see Carowyn gave you the link. Oh, and a timestamp. Thank you for doing that, Carowyn. I appreciate that immensely. It's very kind of you. Supremo Mega. Thank you very much for the super chat. Do you feel another issue you have with Damian, this being Damian Wayne, is he's a male version of Cass, and Damian was heavily promoted while Cass was sidelined and raised in the New 52? I don't think that's part of my personal baggage. Although now that you've said that, that's a valid point. Because in terms of having a member of the Bat family who was trained to be an assassin and needs to be sure not to make use of a bunch of skills that they have because they'll kill somebody, yeah, you're right. They did already do that. Oh, actually, that hadn't even occurred to me. So it certainly wasn't one of my issues prior to you bringing it up. That is kind of an issue, though. I'm sorry, Cass is just way more interesting. Damian's, he's not interesting. He's just not. Given that Vera's 41, does that mean we can call her a boomer? No, boomer isn't about a number for your age. Boomer is a generation. Boomer is being of the baby boom generation. I'm a millennial. I'm an elder millennial, but I'm a millennial. So no, I'm not a boomer. I'm not a boomer. Gen X folks can't be boomers. My mother's a boomer. Let's see. Where was I? Here we go. Didn't realize I was gender fluid until my mid-late 50s, so it's not too late. Damn right. Damn right, Carowyn. Whenever you realize it, it's not too late. Make the use of the now and the time that you have. If you know who you are, be it. If it took you longer to realize who you were than would have been ideal, I get the frustration, but don't let that stop you from being. Thomas Pape. Dang, Thomas Pape. My goodness, very generous, and thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that immensely. Also, first super chat from you, the chat is telling me, the system is. So thank you extra for that. Dharma! Thank you very much for the super chat. Now is always the best time to be yourself. Yes. Yes, it is. And there is no shame in needing time to figure out who that is. I'm a cool millennial. That might be a stretch. They shouldn't say you look good for your age. You simply look good. Oh, thank you, Thomas. Aries is a fire witch. Aries is a lot of things. But again, like, it's messy for me because I'm right on the cusp. I'm very cuspy. Much less reflective, but have you ever seen the Hunger Games movies? Me and a lot of the internet have been into them again lately. I've seen the first one, and the second one, I didn't see the last two. There was a lot I could appreciate about the first one. Ultimately, though, it didn't leave that much of an impression. And the second one is odd to me because the second one is in many ways a better movie than the first one, but it's repeating so many of the same beats that it loses my interest despite being better. Which is, it just didn't leave me in a place where I'm like, I'm keen for more. And I know feelings seem to be very mixed on the third book and the last two movies. In general opinion, is the third movie is very bloated and padded out and probably didn't need to be there. And I don't know. I never came back after that. Aaron O. Happy B-Day, fellow. I'm going to say fellow Aries just because me saying that word, I understand what you mean, but me saying that word out loud sounds like something else, and I'm not going to say that and have people clip it. But thank you, Aaron. Thank you very, very much. It tends to throw people who are into astrology off when I tell them that I'm an Aries, but then I'm explaining that, like, I'm right on the cusp, and they're like, oh, okay, that makes a lot more sense. Watching and Dreaming is the new Owl House episode. Oh, comes out on April 8th. Oh, didn't realize it was getting a trailer. I will probably skip that. I would rather go in cold on that, I think. Am I including TV shows in my MCU ranking, including the Netflix shows too? Yeah. All of that is built into the tier ranking template that I'm using. They're all going to show up. And actually, I can tell you right now, the Netflix shows especially are going to be difficult because the ones that I like, I don't like all the seasons. So I'm not gonna name which ones I'm thinking of, but like there are certainly some where like first season amazing, second season, what are we doing? And that happened more than once. So yeah, though the shows are gonna be tricky, and I'm also gonna have to guesstimate with some of them because some of them I didn't finish, but we will deal with that when we get to Saturday. I can be naughty in my 40s. Adrian, you say that as if I haven't been naughty long before now. I consider myself more a bleeding edge X than trailing boomer. I think that fits you much better, Carolyn. Nothing about you really strikes boomer to me. Bleeding edge X. I like that. I like that for you a lot. Let's see. John Vinyls. Who's cuter, Luce and Amity or Kit and Jade? Kit and Jade. I'm drawing a blank on who that is. Oh, wait a second. Oh, from Willow. I didn't go back to Willow after the first 3 episodes. I didn't go back to it. It just didn't hold my attention. And it'll be hard to motivate myself now that it's been canceled, so. Aim for the birthday chat. Stay for the lace work on the neck curtains. I will not be doing an interior design video. Like the bits of the top of this dresser that you can see and the mess there, that is much more indicative of my design philosophy than the curtains are. Raina, thank you very much. Slice of birthday cake, much appreciated. Thank you so much. Russell T. Davies said new Doctor Who is one of the greatest things he's ever made. I'm glad he is being enthusiastic. We shall all be the judge of that. Just taking a villain moment. Okay, a couple more. For survival, we are all animals. For Bloods of Stone, just him saying, Rocky! Oh, goodness. Leaning heavily on Rocky Horror, I'm noticing. Fair, it's very quotable. What's Gen X? I forget the exact age range. Gen X was the generation prior to Millennial. I forget the exact range that it's supposed to fall under. But again, like when you get right to the turnover moments, it gets weird and squidgy. Because like you'll find definitions for generations that will give you a hard year, like where this one ends and this one starts. But like in terms of what your life experience is actually like, if you're at the very end of one generation, there's a good chance you're going to relate much more to the people who were technically at the start of the next one. Or possibly vice versa, depending on, you know, your living situation, how things grew up. It's one of the things that, so like a good example of that, I think there, excuse me, there's a decent number of millennials with Gen X sensibilities to some degree, and I find more often than not, it's usually because they had older siblings. Like, whole bunch of people my age are like, they're way more into the 80s than they should be, given that like they're into stuff that at the time they were like 2 or 3, but they had older siblings who were really into that, and so they kind of absorbed it through them, or maybe even into some stuff from the 70s, depending on the age range. So yeah, it can get weird and squidgy at the edges. I personally like Damien's dynamic with young John Kent was in Super Sons. I did hear really good things about Super Sons. I will grant that I won't pass judgment on that book, because from people whose opinions I respect said it was really good. I never read it. Still don't like Damien in a Batman setting though. I'm in my 60s. I'm a boomer. You've taught me so much on here. Oh, thank you, Thomas. Let's see. Colzo Art. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for all the work you put in here. Happy birthday. Thank you. I appreciate that. Our Lady of the Cusp. That works. That works indeed. You need your chart done to be really sure. Need date, time, place of birth. Can do it for free nowadays with all the software. I'm aware. I'm aware. Didn't even realize Owl House was still making episodes. I thought it was canceled years ago. It was canceled about a year and a half, 2 years back. In terms of having another full proper season, they gave them 3 45-minute specials to wrap up the story. 2 of them have already aired. The 3rd one happens next month. Daredevil will come back without Foggy Nelson. Yeah, that is a bummer. I agree. Gozer, that is a shame. Finally made it to Ms. Marvel on my Marvel catch-up 3 episodes in. I think it's fun. Iman Vellani is definitely my favorite part so far. I enjoyed Ms. Marvel. I don't think the narrative they chose to do, especially by the time it was done, worked for 6 episodes. I feel like they crammed a second season's worth of plot into the middle of it. And like, the cast was good. a lot of the overall instincts of the storytelling was good, but the structure of the thing overall didn't. I feel like it really suffered from only being 6 episodes. I feel like it either should have been longer or one of the storylines should have been pushed to a second season. Is sort of my overall opinion on that. What piece of media is your supervillain origin story? My money's still on the Dexter finale. That, there's a compelling argument to be made. I would say that is probably it. I think the Dexter series finale, this is original Dexter run, I think that series finale was probably my first taste of being truly anger-inducingly, just deeply infuriated with a piece of television media specifically, certainly. Something that I'd been invested in, had been following for years, was really enjoying, and then that last season was kind of, and then we get to the final episode and it's like, what? What? Yeah. Oh, I think, yeah. You might have gotten it in one there, Ben. I love Foggy, and the other woman, was it Paige? Karen Page is who you're thinking of there, Robin. Mine's on Ghostbusters 2. See, the thing about Ghostbusters 2 is I was a little bit too young for it to really hit me with anger. When I first saw Ghostbusters 2, I didn't like it, and I wasn't entirely sure why, but I largely moved on and just kept rewatching the first one and watching the cartoon, and I was fine. It was only really upon revisiting it as an adult and being able to better articulate why I didn't like it that I found sort of new levels of ugh with it. But like, that had to be rediscovered. Dexter finale, oh, when that hit, dang it. That wasn't pleasant. Wait, Willow was canceled? Yes, it was. Okay, so it's weird. It's weird. So the official word, I think, from Disney itself was that it was canceled. The creator is saying technically it's not canceled, in that they're not saying they'll never do more. But what they are doing is they are releasing the cast, because if they get the chance to do more, it's not going to happen right away, which means they need to, they're not going to pay to retain the cast. They're going to let them go so they can go get other work, which makes it effectively canceled. The creator behind the show has been very quick to be like, it still could get more, but right now it's effectively canceled. Any thoughts on Twilight? I found the last movie to be the most interesting, and that's saying something. So first thing on Twilight, I never read the books. I only saw the movies. And yes, the last one is by far the most interesting because it's bonkers. It is bonkers. It's made by people who are very clearly going, this is the last time we have to do this. Let's go nuts. And I don't think it's good, but it's also kind of amazing. It's weird. Like, it doesn't work as a standalone. Here's the thing. To appreciate how off the rails that last movie is, you can't appreciate that unless you've watched the 4 movies prior. But I don't think it's worth sitting through the 4 movies prior in order to get to that. So, yeah. It's mud season. It is. The snow is continuing to melt. It was almost 60 here today, actually. Supreme Omega, thank you very much. On Red Hood, do you feel a reason why he doesn't work as a character in main canon is that Huntress in the 90s did his thing way better? No, the main reason I think he doesn't work as a character in canon is that his impact on Batman is more meaningful if he's dead. If he is the Robin who died, if he is the kid who died because Batman brought him into this world thinking he was going to make his life better, and then that he died, that has a meaningful reverberance across everything he does. If he's not dead, that's kind of gone. Now, I have said, elsewhere that I'll caveat that in that the brief period where Red Hood kind of worked was when he was a villain. So that he could still stand as Batman's greatest failure, where, okay, he's not dead anymore, but he is very much nothing that Batman would ever want him to be. And arguably, when he was just killing people, possibly more effective at stopping crime than Batman was, or at the very least challenging Batman's approach. That could have worked, but they dropped that and made him an anti-hero, and then he's basically just a straight-up good guy at this point. He just happens to use guns, which is deeply uninteresting and robs us of the weight of him being Batman's greatest failure, which is where I think the character's interesting. Huntress, having done the vigilante willing to kill thing before him, I mean, it wasn't even that unique to Huntress. It was, I guess it was a little unique within the Bat family specifically, but like in comics, it wasn't even that original when she did it. So I'm not even going to knock that particularly. Let's see. I've heard that Dungeons and Dragons is a fun movie. I might see if my kiddo wants to go see that, because she's into D&D now. So she might go for that. Excuse me. It's out this weekend, right? I might see if she'll be up for that. Am I entering my villain era now? See, the thing is, if I was, I'm not sure I'd know. Because there are the villains who know they're the villains. And then there are the villains who genuinely don't think that they are. Who feel that they're doing what is necessary. Doing what is right, doing what other people won't do because they're not as strong as you are. Does that make you a villain? To them, maybe, but would you call that your villain era? Because you'll take the steps they won't, make the stands that they won't make, do what has to be done when they are too cowardly to do it. Or, you could just do the evil villain cackling thing. Whatever works. Lynn Wallace, thank you very much for the super chat. Happy birthday from Maine. Oh, Maine's lovely. Oh, I like that you put a lobster. Maine lobster. Mobster. Yeah. I like that you put a lobster in there, because when people tell me they're from Maine, my general follow-up question is lobster Maine or moose Maine? Lobster. Very nice. What do I think of the Court of Owls Batman saga? I don't like it at all. I do not like the Court of Owls. I don't like its existence. I don't like how it was executed. It was good for about 4 issues of the comic, and then it went to hell real quick. Hey, Meg! Good to see you. I'm glad you made it. Cheers. Suggs with a box? Suggs with a box? Suggs with a box. Thank you. Thank you for the super chat. That's very generous. I appreciate that. Let's see, where was I? Ms. Marvel shoved 12 issues of comics into 6 episodes. Even still, I really enjoyed it. Again, I don't think it's bad. I just really want to restructure it. Timothy Dalton turned 77 today. Whew. You want to talk about looking awesome for his age? Dang. Huh. I haven't watched Dexter. What's so bad about it? Short version. The finale feels like it's not even strictly a narrative thing, although there are some narrative choices that it's like, what? But it's not a Game of Thrones thing where the narrative just doesn't fit where it was going. The final episode of Dexter feels like it was made by people who never watched a single episode of Dexter. nothing about the tone, the mood, the aesthetic, the feel, the atmosphere of it, nothing feels like Dexter. Dexter was a show that ran on tension. And there's this weird dreamlike quality to the finale that it just feels like it's not even from the same damn show, on top of having some badly executed stupid ideas. Do you ever find yourself feeling nostalgic for periods you didn't actually live through? Like Stranger Things gives me a nostalgic buzz even though I was born in 1993. Yeah, sometimes. So I can take in certain 60s or 70s or honestly even like roaring 20s style media and be like, yeah, that could have been fun. John Vinyls, thank you very much. Do you think there's an all-powerful conspiracy to sink queer genre shows like Owl House or Dead End or Willow, or is there a non-homophobic explanation? Well, okay, so slightly two different questions there. Do I think there's a conspiracy? No. Do I think there's a non-homophobic explanation? No. The thing is, homophobia does not require intent. There is such a thing as passive homophobia. Or queer phobia or what have you, where you aren't actively trying to remove it or dismantle it, but you are looking at it in a way that does not take into consideration its value in media, its value in culture, its value to people who are not represented. Even people who try and we'll treat everything the same. Anything that is under the structures that are currently governing entertainment, anything that is underrepresented will just continue to be underrepresented in that way. So there's a lot of passive homophobia in that nobody is taking into consideration what does it look like that we keep canceling all these queer shows. They're just, in their mind, canceling a show. Like, here's the ratings, here's what we sunk into it, we should cancel that. And there is a lack of consideration. It's the difference between malice and ignorance. I think there's a lot of ignorant homophobia and queerphobia and transphobia behind a lot of those kinds of cancellations of queer genre shows. I don't think there's a ton of deliberate malicious intent. I'm not going to say it's impossible that there's some, but I don't think so. I generally find it is more helpful to, if something feels like it might be conspiracy, there's a good chance it's much more likely idiocy or incompetence. The thing to remember about if you come up with a conspiracy theory, you are crediting them with being able to make plans and being smart. I don't think these people are smart. I think they're idiots. So I chalk a lot more things up to idiocy and incompetence. Let's see. I'm currently in the middle of watching episode 36 of Cool and Swords. I just have episodes 37 and 38. I should have watched them by the time y'all do episode 39, so I'll be watching on Twitch. Oh, that's great! Nick and Crochet Tiger, I hope to see you there. Just finished watching The Servant. Anyone else check that out on Apple TV+. Apple TV is one of the few I don't have, so that's a negative on me, Meg. Thank you, Dunnox, for the birthday wishes. I appreciate that. Even though we disagree on some ideas, hey, nobody is required to agree with me. Sorry about the half-hearted heart thing. It was just a highlighted comment, not a super chat. You kind of got a half heart out of me because I was running on autopilot there for a hot second. Happy birthday. Will like watching Will open an Atari on Christmas weirdly gave me a nostalgic buzz, even though I had a GameCube when I was his age. I mean, I think being able to relate to that sensation, even though it's a different system, like that makes it pretty relatable. Do I have a favorite short story writer? Ooh, I'm not sure I'd ever thought about that. Probably. But I don't know off the top of my head. I'd have to think about that. Finally finished streaming Heathcliff and the Cadillac Cats. Interesting choice. I wish Dexter was still around to cross over with the ripoff series You. I've not seen You. I've heard... All right, I'm not going to say I've heard good things. I've heard... fun trash, which fun trash is fair. I have caught up to the chat reacting to when I started villain monologuing. That's fun to see those reactions. What am I drinking? I am drinking Raspberry Crush by Citizen Cider. Let's see. Shirley Jackson wrote amazing short stories. Good pick. Good pick for a short story writer. All right, there's some super chats I haven't gotten to. Rusty Ralston, thank you so much for the super chat. Happy birthday, Vera. Be glad you aren't in my shoes when you're angry at a local production company that you're supposed to be interning with completely ghosting you. Oh no! Ha, local theater drama. It's a thing. I have been there. Whew. Gamer Jamie. First of all, I love the way you spell that. Happy birthday, Vera. Thank you very much. I appreciate that greatly. Get any good birthday presents? I did. I got a fair few from some very, very lovely people, some of whom are in the chat. Alan Moore and Grant Morrison. I haven't read a lot of Grant Morrison, so I'm actually not in a position to make a call on that. Just spilled red wine everywhere. This is my villain origin story. You know what I need to do? I need to find an excuse maybe on TikTok to pull out my full-blown maniacal villain laugh again. I haven't done that in a while. Anyways, I should check the Discord. Oh, told me twice. Carowin catching me on that. Sorry, Carowin, and thank you for telling me yet again. In my defense, a lot of super chats have been coming in that I've been trying to keep up to, but yes, I am very sorry for missing that. Checking the Discord. Back in a minute. Let's see, what do we got? Reminder, the Council of Geeks Discord is a Patreon exclusive perk, and there is a channel there to be able to ask questions specifically on the stream. So let me see what I got. I'll be working, but happy birthday. Hope it's a good one. Aw, happy birthday, happy birthday. We share a birthday. Aw, a couple more happy birthdays. Keeping these light. My friends and I have been obsessed with Flux lately. I'm wondering if you ever played it. The game, because I was wondering, it's got 2 X's. I was wondering if you ever played it, and if so, do you like it? Because I've heard it's very divisive among board game snobs. I've played it once, like 5 years ago. I did have fun, but I don't even remember how to play it now. It's been too long. I learned it and played it once. I did enjoy it. Happy birthday. Do you have any recommendations for the trans rights readathon? Ooh, I should. I don't. I can tell you what I should read because I had a copy of it lent to me, was Genderqueer. I really need to read that. But I haven't yet, so I don't know if I can recommend it. I'll tell you what I will recommend. It's a graphic novel. It is called The Prince and the Dressmaker. I recommend that very highly. And despite what Scholastic in the US will say, it is all ages appropriate. There's a story behind that, but I don't have time. I've been enjoying your and Jesse's takes on Babylon 5. For all its flaws, it has my favorite overall story arc of any space opera, along with some of my favorite characters. Do you have any comments on the overall story arc so far? It's progressing well. As Jesse and I have noted multiple times, the show has a very, very good understanding of the progression of fascism in specific with what's going on with Earth in that. And it's telling good stories even outside of that. I'm pretty impressed with it so far. I can see ways in which it could go off the rails for me, but we'll see. And it's still pretty solid so far. All right, we've got a few here. In your Gary Lineker video, you said you're kind of eat the rich at this point. I get that sentiment, but don't you think there's a moral difference between getting rich by like being a skilled athlete and getting rich by like being a business owner who exploits and underpays their workers? I mean, if you want to get Marxist about it, I think pro football players would technically be counted as part of the proletariat since they're employed by someone else and get paid a salary, albeit a very high one. Yeah, those comparisons don't work because, yes, while it is true that your famous sports stars or your actors or whatever are certainly far, far, far richer than the vast majority of people, they don't come close to business owners and CEOs. They don't even, you need to remember, yeah, a sports player makes a lot of money. Somebody's writing their check. The people, and I'm not going to say that, sports people and people of that level of wealth don't irritate me. They can. That's not where my rage is. My rage is at the level of the person who is signing the paycheck of a multimillionaire sports superstar. That's who I feel needs to be taken down badly. Do you think it's possible to make a progressive or anti-bigotry message in a piece of media so explicit that right-wing fans won't try to deny it's there? Well, yes, but then they'll just decry. See, that's the thing. There's plenty of media like that, but that's the one that right-wing fans just go, oh, they went woke. Oh, it's SJW propaganda. If they can deny it, they will. If they can't, they'll denounce it. Excuse me. There's more context to this question. Remember I said my Hero Academia subreddit got mad at me for suggesting one of the bad guys is misogynist. In his origin story episode, they literally show him saying all women in his family are useless, referring to his mother as his abusive dad's property and zoning out her words every time she tries to give him emotional advice. But apparently it was ridiculous of me to suggest that misogyny is something to do with why he turned out bad. I mean, you can't make somebody grapple with something they don't want to grapple with. People will put on the world's biggest blinders if they are not prepared to confront something or they want to pretend it doesn't exist. Remember you made that video about tomboys way back when. You ever notice in media that focuses on tomboys, the other characters tend to care about gender norms in an unrealistically old-fashioned way. Recently, I've been watching a slice of life anime about a tomboyish girl, and I've noticed the other characters' gender expectations are kind of ridiculously old-fashioned. Like, they treat the protagonist as freakish for preferring to wear jeans and t-shirts on days off, even though that's relatively normal for girls today. I think that is probably part of the reason why a lot of famous tomboy stories, things like A League of Their Own or, God, why am I suddenly drawing a blank? Fried Green Tomatoes, and a lot of those characters are often period pieces. You kind of have to set them back at an earlier point in time to when those norms were more rigidly enforced. But because tomboys are such fun characters, and some creators have not been able to divorce the tomboy archetype from the tomboy story, which is people being like, oh, a girl doing things that's very normal for a girl to do nowadays. But if you don't transplant that into a period piece, yeah, it can be pretty dissonant. It's one of those things where, when you embrace a trope, you need to be very careful about the circumstances you put that trope in, because sometimes the trope in and of itself might be, most tropes are fairly neutral, but you put it in the wrong circumstances or the wrong setting, or you give it to the wrong character, and suddenly it doesn't work or it doesn't make sense. So that's the kind of thing that strikes me out of carelessness for going, I want to do that kind of story, and then not thinking about what settings that story actually works in. No questions from me, just a happy birthday. Thank you. No questions here either. Happy birthday. 3 questions. Do you think the LGBT community canceling their TV license in the UK might actually do more harm than good, seeing as most TV license cancellations are being attributed to elderly people being fed up with woke reporting and political correctness? I don't know enough about the ins and outs of the specific funding and or the narratives around the funding of the BBC in terms of the licenses to have a say on that. I think that's a valid concern. And I will say in general that for all my criticisms of the BBC, I don't want to see it go away. I think the idea of a publicly funded broadcast station, especially one that does news, is not an inherently bad thing. And in fact, it can be an amazing thing. It just isn't right now. So I don't really want to see it defunded and obliterated. It's one of those things where, this thing's really messed up. I don't want it gone. I want it fixed. But it is a difficult thing where, like, how do you impact that? You know, and starving it of money is a way to impact it. But the thing is, people will have to try and assume or make a guess as to why you withheld your money. It's one of those things where, like, you can take one of the recent Disney movies, The Strange World, and there are people who have argued, oh, nobody went to see it because one of the lead characters is gay. That's possible, but it's also possible that they just didn't market the thing worth a damn. Like, the fact that when people are, in regards to a piece of media or an organization like the BBC, people will do what they're going to do, you know, choose not to see it, choose not to fund it, whatever. And it then falls onto, well, pundits and people like me, but also the people signing checks to decide why they made those choices, why they went to see it, why they didn't go to see it. And they're largely going to latch onto one or two things that might be the majority or might just happen to fit a narrative they already want to push, but aren't necessarily reflective of reality. It's part of why voting with your dollars is a bullshit concept, because your reason for spending or not spending that dollar cannot be fully communicated to the business or the individual in question. Unless you are personally talking to their face, here's why I'm giving you money, here's why I'm not giving you money, they're free to interpret why you did or didn't spend money with them. And they don't have to come to the conclusion that you want them to come to. If the Midnight Suns ever got their own movie, who would be your dream lineup of heroes? I don't know enough about that lineup. I know it's Ghost Rider, it's Blade, it's Moon Knight. It's multiple versions of Ghost Rider, actually, I think. I forget who else is in it. Morbius might be in it. I don't know. I don't know the specific lineup very well. I do like, in general, those kinds of groups of somewhat darker heroes, especially in something like Marvel, which is a generally lighter toned world. I like having those corners of darkness. So, like, giving them their own movie in general, I'm here for it. Other than Davies and Moffat, who are some of your favorite Doctor Who writers, and have you ever thought about listing them in a top 10 or top 5 if too many? I'd have to, like, go through the whole thing, and I have thought about it. I haven't done it, though, obviously. Toby Whithouse did some really good work. So that's a name that springs to mind. Mark Gatiss is not very high. He was a repeat, but he often frustrated me. There's another one that I am drawing a blank on. But those are the two main other recurring ones besides Moffat, Davies, or Chibnall, who are springing to mind. And one of them I liked, and one of them not quite so much. All right, I'm almost done with the Discord, folks. I promise. I'll be back in just a couple minutes. If you could go on a whirlwind tour of the UK, where would you go and for how long? Scotland, and I'd probably stay there. I'd do Scotland for a week, because I think I'd be much more liable to feel safe in Scotland. I would not feel safe in England, and I don't know if I'd feel safe in Wales or Northern Ireland, but I definitely would not feel safe in England with things as they are right now. So Scotland, I'll go to Scotland. Do you have a sequel for Dreams of Fire planned? Sort of. I have another book set in the same world that I have most of a first draft done on, and I do hope to get back to one of these days. No promises on when. If you're asking about a direct sequel at present, no. Doesn't mean never, just means not right now. And what would you do if you had enough to have your basic needs met? I would buy so many cosplays, commission so much custom art, and fund so many artistic projects of my friends and creators I admire. That's what I'd be doing. Do you have a favorite horror movie, franchise, or series? Franchise or series, not really, because I generally feel that horror works better in a self-contained setting. So, like, my favorite horror movie is The Invasion of the Body Snatchers, 1978 version. But series and franchises, like, horror, I don't think holds up to being scary multiple times with the same core thing. That doesn't mean that there can't be fun with those. Like, they can be fun to be had in those kinds of franchises, but the kind of things that end up as franchises aren't really my thing. All right, I'm back in the main chat. Thank you for your patience. How do I settle a dispute with a cow? Depends on what the point of conflict is, I suppose. All right. Got some more stuff in Super Chats. Purple Raider, thank you so very much. Hadestown is coming to London. I'm so excited and wanted to share. Happy birthday. Oh, I'm assuming you're going to go see it, and I hope that you enjoy it. Personally, I wonder if a lot of girls labeled tomboy-ish in the past were neurodivergent. That is possible. John Vinyls, that is certainly a possibility. Supreme Omega, thoughts on DC turning Tim into another sad orphan where his dad was killed, his girlfriend was tortured to death, and his superhero pals also killed. That was a very stupid decision. That was taking a unique situation, not only a Robin, but a superhero in general with a supportive home life and a stable social group, and just turning him into a frickin' angry loner, just like every other frickin' person in superheroes, especially in Batman related. No, that was stupid. That was a stupid, terrible decision. It was awful. And I hate that they did it. Jennifer De Benedetto. Thank you for the super chat. However it is pronounced. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I am going to wrap it up soon. I see that some folks are calling it a night already. Speaking of acts of villainy, how much would you suffer if we convinced you to watch the Doctor in Distress cover and a bunch of Doctor Who fan maids? If you're trying to set up like a whole Clockwork Orange situation, like where my eyes are pried open. Ah! Yeah, no, please don't. Screams in Donald Sutherland. Nicely done, Carolyn. Thank you for that. Well caught. That movie's so good. That movie's masterful. Every time I've gone back and rewatched it, it has messed me up again. I have never watched Invasion of the Body Snatchers from 1978 and not had a really bad night's sleep and messed up dreams. Every single damn time. Been watching that movie since I was like 13. It still happens. But I also noticed new stuff, like new small things that make it more unsettling, little things that put you on edge. It's masterfully made, that movie. Have I ever been to a Scholastic book fair? Oh, yeah. When I was a kid, that's where I used to pick up volumes of Calvin and Hobbes. Let's see. I see Bacasta's answer to the how do you settle a dispute with a cow. I'm not going to read it out loud, but that did make me laugh. Thoughts on League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Volume 2 is my second favorite Alan Moore comic, just behind Miracle Man. I enjoyed it, but I have not read either volume in a long time. So my memories are pretty hazy on that at this point. I'm looking forward to your reaction to Use of Weapons because it's kind of about someone who had a villain arc and is upset people won't forgive him. Ooh, that's interesting. Just saying the cover is already up on YouTube and my birthday's coming soon. Ben, you frighten me sometimes. All right, I'm gonna finish this off. We're gonna call it a night. This has been lovely. This has been lovely. This has been one of the lighter ones. Not as many heavy topics this time. A couple, but we got through them. I came out fully as a trans woman the other week. Oh, which is probably not the best thing to do in the UK right now. Mostly had loving support from my friends. I'm really relieved to hear that you have that support, Rowan. It's gonna make all the difference, especially with everything else going on over there. So congratulations on coming out, and I'm very happy to hear that you have that support. Am I still a Calvin and Hobbes fan? Oh yeah. I haven't revisited it in a while, but yeah, I'm still a fan. Yes, 255 AD. I did. I didn't speak out loud on it. So for folks who don't know, 255 AD, I read some of their questions in the Discord, And at the very end, it was a visual dad joke. But like it's hard to describe a visual joke. So I didn't, but I did see it. And it was a good bad joke. There we go. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. I hope that everyone has a great rest of the night. I have had a lovely day. I've had a lovely birthday. You know, thanks to my friends, to my partners. I've had a lot of people contributing to what has been a nice weekend and a wonderful day. And thank you all for joining me and for the well wishes. And I hope you all have a great rest of the night. I will be on stream tomorrow on Twitch playing more of Super Lesbian Animal RPG. So that'll be at 10:30 Eastern Daylight Time on Twitch tomorrow. Saturday's video will actually be live as I do a tier ranking of MCU properties. And that's what's coming up. There'll probably be some other stuff up in the break room. I don't know what it'll be yet because I have to edit it. And it depends which one I edit first. That should do it for now. Take care, everybody. And please remember that you are beautiful, you are valid, and you are loved. You are the council. I am just running the meetings. And until next time, this council is adjourned. McCavity!